Is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, club swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We got you guys piling into the rooms. All right, let me get some trading view open. Hope you guys are ready for this week. I believe I think we have Jerome Powell tomorrow. I think we got Jerome Powell tomorrow. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure we got a Fed meeting coming in. Dan says correct. All right. All right, beautiful. We got Dan in the house. Good morning, Dan. We got Chuck. Good morning. Agnes, Al's with us. Good morning. Alex, Bill, Brian, Chris, D, Ellen, Fayaz, Jenny, Jay. Good morning. Jose, JT, Kyle, Lucian, Marcus. We got Martina, Marissa, Rick. Good morning. Ron, Susan House, Tana, Tony. Yes, sir. All my peeps in YouTube land. Hope you guys are feeling all good today. Let's start with the SPY. So let's pull up the SPY real quick. Let's see how this market wants to move today. It looks like a slight gap down. For the most part, when I was kind of pre-scanning, it looks like most things were gapping down slightly at least. But except for I think Meta was one of the few. Meta, and there was maybe one other, probably AI, I think had some momentum as a momentum play. So we'll take a look at both of those. But right now, so SPY is gapping down. Friday was also so this was a gap and go, came back. We also already filled that previous VPOC. And today is also another gap and go. So question is this thing going to come up for one more retest and then come down? Is it going to come down first and then maybe find that support and bounce? That I don't know. This is a very strange market because we are obviously in buy the dip mode. We're about 50% in between both VPOCs. So this is about 407. I'll go a little bit lower. Probably the first stop would be about this 407.60 that we needed some kind of support. And the high end of it will probably be about 412.70, unless we have any type of news or something that could break us through. Those two would be my targets. So we're kind of dead smack in the middle. It is a gap and go. So my edge out of the gate would be probably to sell. However, let's go into the hourly chart. Let's just see where that, because we obviously have that wick that came in. And a lot of that wick is actually toward the end of the day. So even though it's a green candle, we do have that wick on it. Most of that wick is not from the morning. It's from the latter part of the day. So this one probably, I would think, gets bought up. I think we get this one bought up to this 412-ish zone, 412.28, 412.29. I would love to see some kind of a retest, rejection there. Again, this is the hourly chart. We got the 10 EMA still above us at this point. So that should be coming down at open. But yeah, I'd probably look for, just based on the fact that most of the end of the day at least was some kind of pullback, we're probably looking for, I think this gets retested before it comes short. We'll see. But we're smack in the middle. So honestly, we don't have great odds, at least on the general SPY, for really a play in either direction. It's a coin flip at open. But with end of the day sentiment, I think we probably get bought back up, and then we look for that sell. And then we also have, keep in mind, we also have the 10 EMA coming in as well on the SPY. Here's the Qs. We still got the 10 EMA on Qs guiding us a little bit higher. But again, nice little gap up. Technically, this one is a retest gap. Let me see. So we have some kind of retest gap from here to here. That never really got retested, right? So we kind of gapped up. Could it make sense that we at least come to the high of yesterday, or what's that, Thursday's candle? No, Wednesday's candle. Potentially. Could we come a little bit lower into this VPOC and then decide if we want to still stay in the game for the longs or look for some kind of a bounce to the short side, as we really haven't had any pullback. But I think this is a gap that will close. And if we look at the wick, I mean, technically we're right there right now. So we're like, yeah, maybe we're coming in. That's how gap fill. But I think this could at least get filled, and that would take us somewhere to the that would take us somewhere to like the 398. So that would be really my first target. And let's just see. I think the selling came in toward the end of the day yesterday. So again, looking for some kind of a bounce at open. Yeah. Yeah, we probably have a little bit of selling. We might get some profit taking. I don't expect a lot, but I do expect we could get some kind of green candles out of the gate, come back into the zone 306.18. That would be the next spot to try with a stop of 312.86. So that's fairly large, but that would be my my plan on that one. Maybe we could even come a little bit higher into that 10 EMA. That's 307.34. But all in all, we're still sitting with a gap and go to the bearish side. I think there could be just maybe a slight little retest. And based on the fact that we're just buying dips like nobody's business, I think that's a decently safe bet to make. Decently. Again with Jerome, I know. God, he don't go away. He just hangs out. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla real quick. Tesla's actually getting a little bit of. All right, so here's one that looks a little bit different than the market right now. We're not really gapping outside of yesterday's range. So it is an inside day candle. This one would also be, looks like we're at a slight resistance at open, but we are technically breaking out of 2 levels of VPOC. So this one could actually get some kind of continuation, especially if the market is going to bounce bullish. I don't know if I'd want to short this thing right away. And we are inside day, so it could be a little bit to the challenging side for that one. Another one I think was moving was PayPal. I think they got downgraded today. So Raymond James, I think, came out, downgraded PayPal, and this one would look a little bit different. Again, you had a very interesting little support. So even this one, and we got the 10 coming in. This one might be a fade to the higher side, even though it's a retest gap. Get some kind of buying. So if this doesn't want to hold or if this one is going to hold, I should say, I think we still get this in a little longer term picture. And then in worst case, we try that $79 level, something like that. And from there, I don't know. From there, it all depends. But again, I think this is a gap that gets filled. We're kind of sitting at that gap fill. We have a little bit of support on PayPal. Again, we have that downgrade. Does it matter? I mean, we're back in the markets. We're back in a market where all news is just good news. It doesn't matter. Bad news is just good news now. We're back to that. So we'll see. Let's take a look at Meta. And then if you guys have any other tickers that you definitely want to check out, Jay Fox is saying, let's go higher. We do have some 2020 vibes. I will say that, Jay Fox. We've got some resiliency. I most likely it is from we're getting just squeezed in the short direction. We're just having one big massive squeeze. So even on Meta, I mean, we haven't broke out. So here's how big gap up on earnings, massive gap on earnings, have not really broke that. We are opening below 2 levels of VPOC. Technically from close, this would be a little bit of a retest. So in a worst case, I think we drop down to 186.63. But yeah, I could see if maybe we pull back potentially. This is a massive gap on Meta. We're just kind of sitting inside 2 days. We're inside 2 days ranges, but really that first one is what would matter the most to me. Win says Roblox. We've got a little bit of a gap and go. Again, all of these things right now, they have that 10 creeping in. I've got a decent level of support as well. So we have a support, Here was our first initial gap and go. That one ended up coming back fading because we're just doing nothing but buy the dips. I prefer to see some kind of short a little bit higher, so somewhere closer to the, at least to take a stab at maybe a short, but this one doesn't. It doesn't look like I don't. It should be short, but I don't like the amount of room it has. But this is 38.41. If we could get higher to come in, otherwise I could definitely see it stalling out here. And then if the buy the dip mentality is back, eek, I don't know. I will say, so a couple of series of events happened. I think it was like Friday and Saturday that I think gave me a little bit of like, you know what? I think Michael Burry might be correct. I think that second wave of inflation might be coming. I don't know, but we'll cover those. We got Amazon, a little bit of a gap down. So this should be a retest gap. We are at support. I would expect this one to fade. Question is, how much is this thing going to fade? First initial target would be probably into the low of yesterday's candle. That would take me somewhere to about 103.34. This retest gap is gapping slightly below that 100. Now we have this untested VPOC all the way at 112. This 102, 103 for a while, even when we were down in the 80s, I was looking at this 102, 103 as some type of bigger resistance. We did stall out here a bunch, and we're opening slightly under that, but this should be a slight little retest. And then if it wants to roll, I can see that roll, but we'll see. Earnings weren't that great on Amazon. Their margins were not great too. So I do have a lower price target where I'd be interested. Maybe we'll go over that through the afternoon room. We'll see. But that would be about $70 is a starting place for Amazon to start picking up shares. So I think we still have a little bit of ways to go before I can see maybe a $40 price tag. Again, I am trying to play conservatively, but because the more conservative you are on entries, just the more longer term. But we'll see. But yeah, we had I got an email from Ally Bank. This is what so the Michael Burry case is that inflation obviously shot up. We do all these rate hikes, the good, it looks like it's coming down. And then the market anticipates that there's going to be a Fed pivot, a rate change, something like that, and they preemptively buy everything. Right? So they're getting into all of the stocks ahead of time. They're trying to get the real estate before anybody else get it. And this move, on top of any short squeezing, on top of any FOMO, just pushes up the inflation again, right? And we get that second wave, which that would be a lot worse, right? So that's his case. Kathy Woods is in a little different camp. I mean, she's not that correct a lot, I feel like, but like it would be a smaller, we keep inflation down. So those are the two base cases as kind of what's out there saying this could happen to the market. So I get an email from Ally. It was whatever day the Fed did the raise, or the day after or something like that. But so you have the Fed coming out going, okay, we're going 25 basis points higher. Right. And then I get an email from Ally Bank saying our mortgage rates just dropped. I'm like, huh. So I don't know if that was just Ally all around, but I'm like, that should be going up. No, we're coming down on the mortgage rates when the Fed just did a rate increase. And then I was hanging out with my friend. This is on Saturday. He does real estate in New York. And he was talking to one of his clients who went to an open house or something like that. And he said there was still 50 people that went to the open house. He's like, there's 50 people that went to the open house. And he's like, yeah, if you want the house, you got to bid, $15,000 above asking to be probably even considered. With that many people, I'm like, mortgage rates coming down. There's still massive demand for people buying everything overpriced. Doesn't matter what you pay. And then the Fed is also still, I'm like, this kind of seems a little suspect to me. I don't know. So I was like, just the three events happened like, it was like 1, 2, 3, like in a row. I was like, I don't know. Actually, this this to me at least doesn't tell me there's a lot of like you should want nobody should want real estate. If this market is actually hitting the recession and we have the fear and the Jerome Powell needs inflation to come down, we just saw the reports on Friday that the job market was clearly, I mean, the estimates were not even close to what the actual numbers came into. Like, it was just a far better job market than predicted. And like, you still have a lot of jobs, people just buying anything still. I think there's still too much money out there. It's almost got to get to the point where nobody wants to even talk about stocks. Nobody wants stocks. Nobody wants real estate. Nobody wants anything. And I think once we get to that point, that's like the bottom part. So there's too many people that are still trying to buy this dip up, and they still think they're going to miss out on something. Yeah, I don't know. So SE, I don't really day trade SE. I don't know why, but maybe just the volume or something like that. But it is a little bit of a gap and go. Again, I would still say that the last 2 hours of the day was more selling. So you are at some kind of a decent support. I would expect some kind of bounce higher, and then we start to roll. If we're going to roll again, we still have that 10, so it's not like this is the most bearish play I've ever seen, especially again in the buy the dipper. But yeah, C Limited has a little bit of support that we're into right now, and VPOC slightly higher, somewhere close to that. I would say roughly $70.56 if you are looking to trade it. Again, I just don't usually day trade it, but Spot could be a good day trade. Just watch out if you're doing it in a funded account. I think, if I'm not mistaken, spreads could be a little bit wild on this one. That's a nice little retest gap at a good location. Let's see if we could get some kind of a retest. I'll throw this one a little bit higher on the list as well. So far out of everything, out of the gate, doesn't seem like much that I want to trade, but I'd be looking for maybe a little bit of a fade. Doesn't have to get down to, but 121.11 would be my essential target on this one. Look at the volume that came in on this thing. The volume that came in here on that gap up, which was a beautiful looking gap. Now you're at 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row of all buying. Not one single red candle, hardly a pullback. This was a little gap down that you would have thought this thing could have dropped. Did not. So again, there's two little spots at least to consider, but keep in mind, there's into this gap, there's a lot of people profitable still, just with that volume candle alone, which I think that came out earnings. But this is 121 or 122.08 would be my first spot to look, but I would not throw blind orders out there. 121.11 will be the next kind of support for me. And again, it's a good location. There's so many people, and we just looked at that one volume candle, but look at any of the other buying that came in. I think it's going to start to get a little to the tricky start. TSN, is that Tyson? Tyson Foods. Okay, these guys look a lot different. There's a much wider gap. One level of support that could be at 60. This what was the stock we were attempting the other day? Jeff Pierce says, is strong jobs report bad for the stock market? Usually that's a good sign for the market, saying that, hey, there's a lot of employment, economy strong, businesses could grow. Again, the problem is not the market right now. The problem is inflation. The Fed has to get the inflation under control. So realistically, strong job markets should be negative for the markets. They were rather positive. They were rather good. And again, it's kind of like the sentiment just changed from we almost had a red candle when that came out. Like, we sold off, we dipped, and we ripped right back. So the buy the dip mentality, the FOMO mentality is in the market. Eventually that will change once a lot of people probably get squeezed out or taken into the markets. Right. So there's a lot of people going, oh man, this is the bottom. I don't know. Based on what I'm seeing in real life, and it doesn't have to play out. Maybe sometime during the we'll try to take a look at the SPY on a during the morning room. If not, when I come back later today, we'll take a look at that. But just looking at some wave counts, and it could be an extended period of time, or more extended than people think, that we keep the interest rates, especially with those job numbers. Again, this is I'll probably put this one a little bit higher on the list. This one looks like potentially, well, technically it's also a retest gap too. So we have a little bit of support. Let's see if we can get like 1 or 2 candles, and actually let's play this one bullish. Let's see if we can get some kind of push into $60.16. And now let's make some kind of attempt to go bullish on this one. Let me just add this one to my chart, TSN. At least with this one, we have a good stop placement in terms of like where it probably shouldn't get to if we are. And again, we do have that buy the dip mentality on everything. So chicken should be no different. We'll get that decently high on the list. I like that fine though. We got NVIDIA, NVDA. NVIDIA. I saw a report that they said that the Chinese balloon was really some kind of attempted retaliation at the chip market from the US with those sanctions, which I thought we took off some of those sanctions, but maybe not. This one looks like a little bit of a better opportunity to short. First target, or at least peel something off, would be about 204.49. Again, we're still technically on an inside day. We're right at the bottom range. This would make sense to get some kind of a green candle that maybe we could short below it. If we could get that, terrific. We're definitely in like a funky spot in the market though. All right. Dow theory in action. Yep. Suspect mortgage rates have been dropping over the last month, but did have a spike this weekend. So this weekend I finally started catching up. Okay. I don't know what we were waiting for. I mean, the Fed's legitimately coming out raising rates. See, the fact that I could get any email saying that the mortgage rate's going down is anti Jerome Powell. Houses in my neighborhood are still getting sold at massive inflated prices. Yeah, I mean, this house was in Long Island, so Long Island's not exactly the cheapest place. Like, it's been overvalued probably for a while. But the asking price, it wasn't like they came down on asking price. It was just like, it was still a really crazy price in general. And then he's telling people, nah, you have to bid probably about 15K over just to be considered. Like, that doesn't tell me that there's a real concern about recession out there. My first house in 2001 had a 7.25 interest rate. Yeah, and again, I just think, and probably during that time of 7.25 interest rates, the money supply was different, right? So people may be a little bit more hesitant to get some kind of real estate. Now they're like, well, yeah, we could take the 7.2 if that's what the rate was, or 7% rate or whatever, and then we'll just refinance later. But that's because they also have money to spend. Like, there's so much money still floating in the economy. And what we'll definitely do is we'll cover, actually in the afternoon room, we'll cover the Warren Buffett indicators. His indicators are based on like GDP and how the if it's kind of what he'll use to see if the entire market's a little overvalued or not. And once we go through the numbers, once we go through the formula, you'll see that we still are massively, for the market in general, we are still massively overbought, which is wild. And then we still have the 10-year bond inverted curve as well, which has been pretty accurate in terms of calling bigger recessions. So again, I don't want to come out here bear mode and then everyone wants to short everything, but it could be an extended bull market before the bigger dip, if that bigger dip comes. But I'm looking at everything, I'm like, something's not making sense. I don't know. So here we are with AMD. I do have a fib already drawn out on this thing. We got higher lows, and we do have a push right into that 618. Looks like we still got some kind of close above it. However, the morning is closing lower. So AMD might be a decent short opportunity too into, well, now I just moved that line, but probably into that 618. Maybe we could come back bullish into that little bit of VPOC somewhere sitting at around 86.21 as an opportunity to go short. So we'll put this one a little bit higher on the list. It's pretty high up there already, but we will see what happens. We got 3 more minutes. Alex said, I appreciate it being recorded. Yep. I'll if somebody else is here, try to remind me, but I'll try to remember to get that recording on. Otherwise, I have no problem with that. Hector says, please record it too. Yep. We'll see. We'll see what we can do on that one. All right. What else do we have? Honeywell. Again, I think we're just still in a little bit of struggle bus on Honeywell. Just that was a big retest gap. We retested. We started to come down. Probably one little spot of safety, 201.43 should be support. If that one breaks, we don't really have a lot on Honeywell still until probably back into 197.38. So maybe we'll watch that one. Into it. Beautiful gap and go that actually did what it was supposed to. Like, this is how gap and goes is supposed to look. Maybe we get some kind of continuation, a little bit of support. I'm not as worried about those spots. Maybe closer to about 413.17. That looks to me roughly about the 618. So that would be about $7 to the downside if we get some kind of continuation. I think it is technically at this point would be a retest gap to fade a little bit bullish before we start to get a rollover. Coinbase, we are sitting at a pretty decent support. Inside, still this one big massive candle. That's where we had lots of volume. So I don't think we're really trapping as many people yet. And then we have Meta. So now Meta does look interesting. We've got, it's not tweezer tops on the daily, but we're very close to tweezers. I can see this thing futz around a little bit, but if we get bought up, I'd be okay attempting some kind of short. Let's throw this one a little bit higher on the list. It's just tough to battle all these bulls, but and Amazon will push up there. It's just that 10 EMA and slight little support could bang us around a little bit. Here's another one, Baidu, small little technically retest gap. We got some kind of support. And then we have Baba, doesn't look that impressive. Again, this is a retest gap. I would be expecting this one to retest before we might roll over, but let's see. Quick little fib. Somewhere around there, the 50%. We're kind of opening at the 50%. That'll be 103.11. And then if we get down to 618, that's 98.89 or 98.81. So we'll keep an eye on that one too. AA. That looks a little bit better. Alcoa is usually a little slower moving. Let's see if we get a little pullback on this one. This one's a gap and go. This one does look very, very interesting. Let's throw this one on the list. We'll see how this one wants to open. This would technically be a gap and go. We are at least clearing some VPOCs, which is good. A little bit pullback. So if we need a bullish play, this one might be bullish. If we can get a pullback to about 54, 56 would be my plan. So we'll see what happens on that. We'll push this one up a little bit higher on the list. All right, awesome. We have about 8 seconds. So everybody in YouTube land, I do appreciate you guys joining us each and every day, but unfortunately this time we got to disconnect. Make sure on the way out you guys hit the like button, and keep in mind you guys can join us anytime as well. We do have All Access Pass where we do cover pretty much every topic involving market or trading possible, and then some. So make sure you guys check that out, and more than